Here we are. We're talking about balance. It's the week to talk about relationships. And typically, I'd love to go down this conversation, this path of talking about our spouses and talking about our kids and talking about the connection. And what I constantly am seeing and what I'm constantly a part of, whether I'm talking to one-on-one clients, whether I'm in text conversations with people or emails with people or somebody who reaches out to me on Facebook, is that the most important conversation that has to be had, or the most important relationship that needs to be worked on, is the person looking back at you in the mirror. That is the one that needs the most nurturing. If I'm not happy with the way my relationship is with my spouse, then I've got to look at myself and say, where am I not showing up? Where am I not putting in the work? Where am I not consistent? Where is it that I might be missing the beat? And there are plenty of things that I can share over here on that side for you with your spouse and with your children. And I try to do so every week anyway. And yet when we're honing in and focusing on the conversation, I sit here and I go, well, if we could get a deeper understanding of who we are as men, and if there's women watching, that is, as a woman, if you can get a deeper understanding of who you are, who the fuck are you? If you can get a deeper understanding of that, you start to own who you are. I want you to think about this. When you start to own who you are, you don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about you. When you start to own who you are, as I've talked about many times before, you walk with a swagger. There's an energy about you. There is a confidence, not cockiness. There is a confidence that comes from you when you know who you are, when you own who you are. And the problem is, though, is that people get lost in the world of comparison. Is that we admire, if it's in chiropractic, there's a doctor down the street who has the practice that you want. There's a chiropractor on stage who has the business that you want. There's another chiropractor on stage who has the business that you want. And we play this comparison game. And then you might have friends in your circle and you're like, God, man, you know, why Joe is such a douchebag. How the fuck does he have this amazing business and I don't? And the comparison game is a game of suicide. All you will do is continue to beat the shit out of yourself, and you will continue to go down a path of feeling unworthy, feeling like you just don't have it, feeling like something is missing, feeling incomplete, which is why comparison is so dangerous. If you want to compare yourself to anyone, compare yourself today to the version of you yesterday. And did you do one thing to improve in the last 24 hours? Compare yourself to the vision of you today to the one of you a week ago. And have you taken more action than that person would or less? Utilize yourself as the benchmark. And utilize yourself as a benchmark, as we talk about around here, in the 4 dimensions. Don't compare yourself to Joe. You don't know if when he gets home, he's an asshole to his wife. You don't know if when he goes home, he can't wait for his kids to go to bed so he can have another drink. You don't know those things. You know what you see on Facebook. You know what you see on the pictures. You know what you see from the limited information that he gives you, but you don't know. So why are you trying to compare yourself to somebody else? Now, this is not to say you can't admire what they create. Like, of course, if you see somebody, they create a practice and you go in there and you watch it, it's booming and they're having fun and they're enjoying. You're like, man, I want to have that much fun. Like, okay, great. Lean in on some of the things that they're doing. But at the end of the day, what they're doing still has to be, if I want to go do the thing that Joe is doing, it still has to be congruent with who I am, with my value systems, with my vision, with where I want to go in my life. And this is where we falter, is that when we hear somebody say something and we go into an emotional place, we leave our values behind. I'm going to say that again. When you hear somebody say something that inspires you, we go to an emotional place. Wow, I want that. And we put our values on the back door, back step, backyard, wherever. The values aren't even being thought about. And this is if you're a person who lives consciously by your values. If you don't even live by your values, what happens is Joe talks about massive practice. Joe talks about all these new patients. Joe talks about all the money. And you're like, oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And Joe says, all you got to do is send out these 3 emails, do these 3 ads, do this, that, the other thing, and you will totally explode. You go, oh my gosh, yes, that's amazing. That's what I want. And so they hit you on an emotional level. You're not thinking about the work that needs to be done. You're not thinking about the value system that's in play here. You're not thinking about your family. You're not thinking about your health. You're not thinking about having fun. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to finally, hallelujah, grow my business. And then you go and you do what Joe said to do. And you do it again. And you do it again. And 3-4 weeks go by. And if you don't get the same results that Joe got, you get pissed off. And if Joe's really good, he'll encourage you and you'll keep going. And you'll keep going. And some people, look, there are some people who they're just so driven, they don't care. They just want to do whatever it takes. It's not a value discussion for them. I just want to grow my fucking business, man. And they will just do whatever it takes. And for some of those people, they can do what Joe said and they'll grow and they'll take off. And typically what happens to those people, and I see it all the time, is that those people are left over on this side, on the other side down the road, they're left broken. They're left broken. They either lose it all or they have broken relationships. They have poor health. They're constantly going home sedating at night and drinking because they're so stressed out about how much they're working. There's always exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying that, but you're not playing your life to play the game to be an exception to the rule. You want to go out and be uniquely who you are and be proud of that person. And as that person is, as you're learning from the mentors and from me and anybody else, like we all, if you're working with me and you're working with somebody else, I would like to think that the thing that you, me, and the other person you're working with have in common is that we all want you to win. And we all want you to be happy. We all want you to be successful. And we all want you to go home and be connected with your family and your spouse. And like, we all want those things for you. And the thing is, with that in mind, if that's what we all want, then we also have to make sure that when you're going and you're taking actions, that if you're not taking an action, right, and somebody wants to push you, like, just go do it, just go do it. If it's against your value system, you got to be willing to speak up and talk about it. Like, man, I got a problem with this. I just got to tell you. I've been doing it for 3 weeks. I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable with it. Well, do you feel uncomfortable with it because you don't feel like you have the tools that will help you to build through it? Or do you feel uncomfortable with it because it goes against your value system? See, if you don't feel like you have the tools, we can have a conversation and we can talk and walk through the tools and get you in sync and going forward. If it's a value system discussion, then we have to come over here and have a philosophical talk and help you to understand the foundational layers of why you're doing this thing. And once you do that and you build up the connection to it, whatever procedure, whatever system, whatever thing it is that you need to go do, it will actually start to propel you forward. Not because of the system, but because of the person implementing the system. That's right, folks. It all comes back to you, who you are delivering said technique, who you are delivering a procedure, who you are showing up and educating your patients, who you are as the leader in the office, who you are when you get home at night, who you are to your kids, who you are to your wife, who you are as a man. It all comes back to the who, not so much the do. So with that being said, there's a few things that I would like to talk about here. And occasionally I've drawn this for you. I'm going to use my hands today, but we look at the circle. So there are roles that you play in life. And if you can get clear on the roles that you play in life, and you can get clear on the things that you love to do in those roles, and you can get clear on the values that the person has in those roles, you start to understand who you are. Because if you don't know who the fuck you are, we're going to have a problem. Because you're always going to try to be somebody else. You're always going to try to be somebody that you're not. So if we can get clear on who you are as a man, who you are as a husband, who you are as a father, who you are as a wife, a spouse, a significant other, whatever role it is that you play, if you can get clear on who you are, then you can go and proceed as that person, as I like to say, as your badass self, without trying to copy or imitate anybody. That you can copy and imitate the procedure or the system or the action, but you have to do it as the truest, most authentic version of you. And when you do, you will win this game because things start to become fun. What was once laborious becomes fun. You become energized by it. You don't dread doing it. You actually become excited doing it. So let's look at this. Center circle. If you take a piece of paper and you draw this, you go center circle, and in the center of it all is me plus God. Me as a man and my relationship with God. That's what's at the center of the circle. Me. I write me. I write clearly me. Because I feel when I go for a walk and a talk and I'm talking to me, I'm talking to God. I didn't say I'm God. I said I'm talking to God. When I'm working out, I'm helping to create a stronger body and I'm working with God. No matter where you are, when you're by self, and especially if you are talking, like those are my conversations with God. You see me talking to myself, I'm having a conversation with God because God gives me answers. He answers back. It's like, holy shit, this is amazing. I get answers back. I get ideas. I get thought flashes. I get all those wonderful things. In that relationship and building strength in my relationship with me, which is the gift that God gave me, was me. I'm here right now. I'm showing up how God wanted me to show up. And if I'm not, then I better figure that shit out and fix it. But that means figuring out who God wants me to be. Who am I as a man? What do I stand for as a man? What do I love doing as a man? See, when you become clear on these things, again, I stop trying to be someone I'm not. I stop trying to show off for people and like brag and be a braggart. And I'm more humble in my own skin. I remember I was an asshole years ago, man. I'd go to seminars and I would wait for people to talk about volume because I was so excited to talk about my volume and they would be so impressed. And instead of saying thank you, I was all full of ego. And I know, I mean, I'd walk away from it and think that I was really cool and a badass. And then like, I'd get home and by myself, I'm like, wow, I was kind of a dick. That's not the way to ask. I should actually be grateful that, I'm, and that I've been given the, I have discipline. I didn't say given discipline. I have discipline that I take something that God gives to everybody is discipline and I use it and consistency and I use it and like taking action and I use it where some people don't. We all have the same opportunity. It's not like one person has something more special than the other person. We all have the same opportunities to do with our bodies what we want outside of the person that has actual physical or mental challenges. And they still do. You see these people all the time who do miraculous shit. They don't use it as an excuse because they look at it as a gift from God. You've been given a gift from God. You're here today. What are you doing with it? Who are you as a man? You got to figure this out. And I don't say this to confuse the shit out of you because it's really not as hard as you think it is. Because I can figure out who I am if I sit there and I say, okay, what do I stand for? What is it that I stand for? What is it that I believe in? What are my values? What are my core values? At the belief of my value system, what are they? Do I know what they are? And am I practicing them on a daily basis? And most people don't. If you write them down for your business because you went to a program and they said, hey, we're going to write down your values for your business. And you said, that's cool. And you wrote down your values for your business. But we have value system for our kids and for our family. There are values that we live by. And when you start to find this, as you look through every role that you play, those values will carry over. There are a core set of values that govern your entire life. Then when you go to your office or your business, there are additional values that are likely a part of that business. Do you even know what they are? If you have them in your office, does your team know what they are? Or do you just write them down because you went to a seminar and somebody said it'd be a really good idea and your team looks at each other like, oh my gosh, that's great. This is awesome. And then you never touched them again. The idea here is to get very clear on a foundational part of your life. Number one is me. And as me, what are my values? Love, honesty, belief, not belief, I'm sorry, love, honesty, integrity, discipline, family first, which I should have said that first, right? If it's family first, but family first is a value of ours. Leadership, health. I don't know if I said that one already. Healthy, being healthy. There's a whole list, a slew of values that we have, that I have as a man. I was brought up with family first. My dad, family first, man, always. So it's like I look at that and I go, okay, well, in my philosophy of this, I say, well, I'm first because if I don't take care of myself first, I can't take care of myself, my family. So I get up early in the morning to take care of me first because I believe my family comes first, if that makes sense. So you got to know what your values are in that role. And then I go to my next role and I go, okay, well, for Troy, I'm a daddy and I'm a husband. So there's my immediate family. I'm a daddy and I'm a husband. and I separate them out and I go, well, what are my values as a dad? What are my values as a husband? What are our values as a family and that we want to share with and pass on to our children so that they will hopefully live with those values in their life, that their core values, they're at the core of their soul and they're going to live with those in their life. What are they? Are you clear on what they are? And then I go to the next circle and I go, well, that's my extended family, my mom, my dad, my brother, for me, the in-laws, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and I go to that circle and I say, okay, well, in that circle of family, what are our values? And then I go to the next circle and I go, as a business owner, as a coach, as a chiropractor, as a leader, as a mentor, as a doctor, what are those values? I know some of you are sitting there like, man, this is too much work. You're making my head hurt. You always have assignments and it just gets old. Every assignment is geared towards finding another level of you. You might do 10 assignments that you feel like, man, it's not clicking, it's not clicking. And then you do the 11th one, you're like, holy shit, it all comes together now. It all makes sense. But if you want to find out who you are, you better find out who you are. And you dig into the values and you identify by going through these values like, wow, this is who I am. I am a man of integrity. I am a man of honesty and love. I am a man of leadership. I am a man of whatever it is. You start to become clear on those things. And then after every one, it has to be, am I living this way? Like literally, you got it written out on a page and you're like, part-time, yes, 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 part-time. Okay, who do you have to become to live this way all the time? Roy Disney once said, one of my favorite quotes, when values are clear, decisions are easy. When values are clear, decisions are easy. So we go back to the example, and you're sitting in someone, you're all excited, they get your emotions flowing. And so I said, so today only, we're selling this program for $9,997, and it is going to explode your practice. Think about this, you only have to get 2 new patients in our system in order for it to pay for the entire thing. And after that, it will all be profit. That's an extra $10,000 of profit in your office every single month for doing 3 simple things. And your mind goes, amazing. I want to do that. I want to make more money. I want to serve more people. You just spoke to everything that I believe in as a chiropractor. Let's go do it. They didn't speak to your values. They spoke to your emotions, but you bought into it from a value-based level. And you went and you bought it and you did it. For some of you, nothing happened. You got pissed off and said that their program didn't work. The bottom line is the program works for the people who it matches their values. The values and the vision of the business. And the person implementing it is a person who part of their value system is to see things through, is to do the work wholly and completely, is to be disciplined enough to turn off distractions and focus on the task at hand. There's a value system that goes along with that. And it's just possible that when it comes to certain things, those aren't an important part of your values. When you become clear on them, you start to understand, you go, okay, if I'm going to sign up for this project, staff, I'm going to need your help. I love it, but we're going to have to do this together. We'll have team meetings weekly. We will talk about the steps that are necessary. And if everybody can play their role and do the things that they're supposed to do, we're going to win. And we win. So you go through your circles and you identify these values. After you've identified the values, you're going to go to the next place. And the next place is this. The next place is to go back to go back to the man and say, what are the things that I love doing? Not as a chiropractor, not as a dad, not as a husband, not as a friend, a brother, a son, none of those things. What are the things I love doing or have loved doing in the past? What are the things I would love to do in the future? I've brought this up to people before, and I've said this before, like, look, if you hear some of this and it becomes a repeater, obviously you need it. Because hopefully if you've heard some of this stuff before, you're in a different frame. You're listening as a different version of who you are today than you were the last time you might have heard it. I'm bringing multiple pieces of things together here. Please lean in and hear me. What are the things that I used to love doing that I no longer do, or that maybe I still do, but what are the things I used to love doing? What are the things that I'm doing currently that I love doing? And what are the things that I would love to do? And you look at it categorically, first of all, as a man or a woman, depending on who's doing this. And then you look at it from a husband perspective. You say, okay, so what are the things? I'm putting everything in my context, okay, as me, the man. And so I look at it and I go, okay, well, what are the things I love doing with my wife? And I write those things down. What are the things I've done with my wife in the past, I do with her now, and I would like to do in the future. Keep it clean right now. And I like to not keep it clean. Keep it clean right now. And then we go to the next one and say, with my children, what are the things I have loved doing with my kids? What are the things I would like to do with my kids? And what are the things that I really want to do with my kids in the future? So here's the things that I'm doing that I love doing. Here's the things we did. Here's the things that I want to do. And the whole point of this is that it opens up this opportunity for you to really look at each area of your life. And when you look at passions, like you might look at some of these lists and be like, especially for yourself, women do this all the time. Women sacrifice everything. They give up everything for their families. And so when they start writing down what they used to do and the things that they would love to do, when they write down things that they would love to and they used to, they're like, I don't even know how I'd ever make this happen. Because you're so used to doing things for other people. So as a man, I can write down these things and be like, man, when did I stop doing that? Like I used to ride my bike all the time, and I didn't give it up because we had kids. I just, for some reason, stopped riding. It just happened. I just stopped. It's like now we live in an area where we have trails everywhere, and like we have like ponds and stuff you can drive through, and my kids want to go riding. So it's like that is coming back into my life, and I'm super excited about it. Because it's something I used to love doing. It's something I haven't done for a long time. And when I look towards present day and future, it's like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to do that thing. And I get excited about it. See, this is the thing. The values are going to help me to make decisions in life and in business. The passions, right now we're talking about personally, but the passions also help me to narrow down and look at, well, what are some of the things I'm doing that I don't enjoy doing? And why the hell am I doing them? And you might look personally and be like, man, I'm cleaning the house 3 times a week. And you go, well, I don't enjoy this. And it's taken away from other joys. No wonder I feel like I'm working all the time. We're going to get somebody to come clean the house. And I go grocery shopping. I'm wasting 3 hours a week going grocery shopping. Guess what? Find somebody to go pick up groceries for me. They have services for all this stuff. So you have the things that you love doing, and then you have the things that are time sucks, time draining things that you're doing or have happening in your life, that it's time to find a way. Can I delegate it? Can I get rid of it? Can somebody else do it? Can I pay to have it done? And the person who's living in scarcity is like, oh, you don't understand. I don't have enough money to have that done. But the thing is, though, is that what other producing thing could you be doing if you weren't out doing the non-producing thing? And you have to look at it that way. So by looking at passions, one, we're looking at your life first, because if you're not living your life in a passionate way, what makes you think you're going to walk in the office in a passionate way? All of a sudden it becomes work. If you don't want your office life to become work, then start living your life. Start having fun in your life, and that fun can translate into your business. So then as we go down this pathway, we get to business and we go, okay, what are the things that you love doing in your business? What are the things that you used to do that you had so much fun doing that you stopped doing? What are the things that you do currently that you love doing? And what are the things you'd like to do in the future? From a fun perspective, from a passionate perspective. I love adjusting. I don't love doing the reported findings. I love adjusting. I don't love doing the financials. I finally, for me personally, it was one day I went to a seminar in Atlanta, and I had my laptop out. This was 1,000 years ago. And I literally was sitting on the runway, and I made a decision while sitting on the runway, waiting for the plane to leave, that I'm done doing my financials and my reported findings because I don't enjoy them. And I feel like they keep me from doing what I'm supposed to be doing, adjusting. So I literally sat there, wrote out the entire script and the entire list of actions. If this happens, then do this. If this, then do this. Come get me if this happens, whatever. I wrote it all out. I went back to the office, and that Monday I threw it down on the desk for my CA, and I'm like, from this day forward, you're doing the financials. And she's like, what? I'm like, I wrote it all out for you. It's all a full script. You are going to do the financials. This allows me the opportunity to just do the report. You can come in and do the financials. I can be out taking care of people, and I don't have to be stressed anymore because I hear the door opening and closing when I'm sitting here going through a financial with people that I don't need to be going through. I got to go back to doing what I love doing instead of what I didn't love doing. I don't need to get your credit card. My CA needs to get the credit card. I don't need to book your multiple appointments. My CA needs to book your multiple appointments. I don't need to explain to you the 3 options for care. My CA needs to explain to you the 3 options for care. I need to put enough value on the care that when you see the 3 options, you're like, yeah, let's do this. That's it. So see, if I understand my roles, when values are clear, decisions are easy. And if I understand my passions, that I literally try to, or I should say, work at imploring these actions in my life daily, making sure that I'm living the passionate life, making sure that I'm doing things that I'm passionate about. Does this mean that there won't be some shit that comes along that you don't want to do? Absolutely. There are always going to be things that are just like, oh shit, I can't delegate. I am literally the only person that could do that thing. Absolutely. It totally means. But for the most part, you should be able to find things that you can delegate, and you can really hone in on and focus on the things that you're good at, that you love doing, that you enjoy doing, and they're just like, they bring out your passion. And for me, like, I'm a person, when I look at the office and I go, things that we used to decorate all the time. I was the one who decorated. Why? Because I love decorating. I love it. It brings a new energy and a new vibe, not just for the patients, but for me. I love having fun. So for me, in my mind, decorating was another way to have fun. Well, where did I get this from? I got it from Disney World, because my philosophy was that I wanted to run a Disney style practice. And so I geared everything around that. I was very passionate about the Disney model and very passionate about how I could translate that model into my business. And that was fun. And as a result of that fun, and as a result of me being able to just express myself for who I am, because I own who I am, people were coming from everywhere. They're attracted to the energy. They're attracted to the passion. They're attracted to the fun. They're attracted to all of those things. And literally, we had standing room only. I want that for you if that's what you want. More than anything, I want you to have fun, and I want you to get paid for what it is that you do and be incredibly successful doing it while living the passions of your life, not just of your business, but of your life. And some of you don't know what those passions are because you haven't visited them for a while. Some of you are making decisions based on emotion, not on values. And if you were to turn around and look at your value system, and you were really to hone in on it, and literally on a daily basis, like, look at the things that you're doing, and are they meshing with your values? Look, I know around here, I drop F-bombs a lot. And I know for some people, you're like, hey man, like, I don't like the profanity, right? And they get upset. But I also know the other side is that if you are really listening, you know that it's a passion that's coming out of me. And if one of your values is passion, you go, man, this dude is just freaking on fire and letting it loose because he's passionate about this topic. How could I hate that? I can't, because he's just letting loose, and this is just what's flying out of his mouth. It's passion. You go, yeah, but can't you be passionate without having to drop the F-bomb? Well, if you're worried about the F-bomb and you're missing the other side of the story, you got deeper problems. Way deeper problems. You step back and you go, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, in the value system, like, one of my values is to be myself. So it doesn't matter the words that somebody's using. It matters that I want to surround myself with people who will be themselves, who will be true to themselves and be authentic to themselves. Oh, that resonates with me. That's why I laugh at people on Facebook who, like, they give people a hard time if they use an F-bomb. And yet 3 days later, they post something that says, be true to you, be authentic to yourself. And it's like, well, screw you. You were just giving Joe Blow over here a hard time because they dropped an F-bomb or they wrote shit in their post. Contradictions lead to destruction, my friends. All right, so let's keep moving. We've got values, we've got passions, we've got roles. And ultimately, when we get to the end of all this, it becomes an audit. You know, I love my audits. It becomes an audit. And this audit is this. Am I living by my values? Am I living by my passions? Am I living by the passions that I say that I want? In other words, am I doing what I love? Not just in business. In my life, am I doing what I love? In my business, am I doing what I love? How am I showing up? Am I showing up in love with what I'm doing? Am I showing up tired? If I'm showing up tired, then I gotta go look at my life and go, what am I doing in my life, man? Because if I'm living my life and I'm having fun in my life and I'm doing things that I'm passionate about in my life, I should be walking into my business on fire, like burning, like this background. That's how you should be walking in. So what you start to learn and realize is that if I get more clear on my passions and I get more clear on my values, I can literally take a step back, and on any given day, if I'm not feeling the energy or the flow, I go, wait a minute, what have I been doing? Am I doing things that I love? See, this is another feather in the cap. Y'all know I'm big on my victory stacking. You write down the victories and what are the actions that you took to create said victories. I just had a doc today, and yesterday morning we were talking, and he's like, yeah, man, like all the things that I was doing, I wasn't doing half of them. I don't know if it was half, but there was a number of them he wasn't doing. Why? Because just slowly, one dropped off, one dropped off, one dropped off, one dropped off. So if the habits that I was using were giving me energy and it was helping me to express my passion, then if I stop doing the things that give me, if I stop doing those things that give me energy, then it's likely I'm going to have a drop off of passion. And then I'm going to start to feel burned out, overwhelmed, tired. What's wrong with me? Here I go again, down in the rabbit hole. When in reality, there's a few things that take place. Number one, there's success rituals that we have every single day. We have them for a reason, and that's to basically light the fire, get you going. Number two, we have things that we do enjoy doing in our lives, and when we plug them into a schedule and we do the things that we enjoy, aka we're passionate about, that will always bring about a different level of energy and focus and swagger for any human being. It always will. And then when I go to work, I bring that energy with me. The values creep in when it's time to make a decision. The values creep in a conversation that you have with somebody. The values creep in when somebody's asking you to do something. That's when they creep in. And when you're aware of them, you're now empowered by them. Because now when somebody asks you to do something and they say, hey, tomorrow night, can you come help me with X, Y, Z? And you're like, oh shit, Janie's got a soccer game and Joey's got a basketball game. And you're like, oh, man, I'd really like to help you though. You're like such a great friend and you've always been there for me. And you're like hem-hawing back and forth. And then finally go, you know what, dude, I can't do it. I'm sorry. My kids have a basketball game. I'm not going to miss the basketball game. Why? Because one of my highest values is my family. So I'll do whatever it takes to get to their games. When values are clear, decisions are easy. So I hope that you will take this video and go through it and do the exercises. Once you get clear on your values, post those suckers up. Put them up in your mirror in your bathroom, put them in your car, put them in your office next to your desk, share them with your team, share them with your spouse. If you have children that are old enough or they can start to be taught these things, teach them these things, like literally make sure that your life is showered with them. This is your code for how you want to live. And then there's the other side of this, which says looking at your roles and your passions and just look at what you've already done today. And have you done things that you're passionate about? Look at what you've had planned going into a weekend. And have you done things that you're passionate about? And make sure that you're doing something passionate in your life daily. Doesn't even have to be in all the categories. Like just make sure you're doing something in your life daily that is for you. Something that you love, you enjoy, you look forward to. That you're doing it for you. And then you go, well, but I also over here got things that I love doing with my kids. And you're like, great, go do it. And then I have stuff I want to do with my wife. And great, go do it. All of a sudden, one turns into 5. And you go on this streak of days and weeks and months where you're like, man, ever since I started focusing on my passions, like every day when I get home, something great is happening with me and my family. Why is that? Because you're focusing on passions and connecting instead of sitting down and disconnecting or sedating with sports or beer or whatever it is. You're actually focusing on the other side, the more important part of life, the side that will help you to grow and expand in all areas of life and business. That's all I've got for you guys today. Please share a takeaway on this video. Please go to your page, share a takeaway, give some shout out to the Octagon and to an opportunity that people have to be a part of this group. Please, if you know anybody that you think could benefit from the program, send them my way. If there's a video that you want me to share, you're like, dude, that one class that we did, you got to share that. Hell, I'll go put it on a landing page and I'll share it. I want to help more people. I want to help them to not just have a great business, but to have a great life. And you, my friend, can be a part of helping that to actually come to fruition. And that's a great mission for all of us to be on. So that's all I've got for you today. I love you. I honor you. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.